So you want to be doing more photo shoots for architects, hotels, builders and designers? Well, there are a few things you're going to have to get right, and it starts with being a professional. Now you might think you're a professional because you know how to take a great image, and that's great and all. I love great photos, your clients love great photos. But there's a difference between being a professional photographer and being a photographer who is professional. A photographer who is professional with all that they do, not just their images, is going to get more big shoots than the one who only knows how to take a good exposure. Being a photographer is much more than that, so let's work through some of those things. Now, one thing you might need to work on is that you have to price yourself right. You can't be too cheap, because if you are, then the companies you really want to be working with, they'll assume you don't know what you're doing, and you'll only end up working with businesses that do want a cheap photographer, but not a great photographer. And then you can't be too expensive either, or else you'll be passed over every time. Now, I saw a comment online from another photographer recently who was asking if other photographers thought that their price for a particular photo shoot was right, but I don't think that's the best question to be asking. I say that because I think the position of that photographer's brand in the marketplace will tell us if the price is right or not. So if that photographer was positioned as a cheap photographer, and if they had no portfolio relevant to that project, and if their website was ugly, then anything but a really cheap price might have been too expensive. Now, on the other hand, if that photographer was positioned as a leading photographer in that particular field, and if everything about them screamed high quality work and exceptional service, then the fee quoted by that photographer might have even been on the low side. So where you price yourself is going to depend on how you are perceived by the people you want to be working with. Do you give the impression that you're a cheap photographer, or do you give the impression that you're high quality and expensive? That's the right question to be asking in my view. Now, in line with that talk about positioning, another thing you need to keep in mind is you have to present your quote the right way. So for example, does your quote look something like this? To whom it may concern, I'll do that photo shoot for $900 per day. Thanks. Yeah, well, or does the quote look professional in that it explains what you're going to do? It details your pricing in an easy to understand way. It looks like it was created by an experienced photographer, and it includes everything that client needs to know about your photo shoot. That's what you need to be doing with your quote delivery. Now, another issue is your portfolio, and it's the little things in those images that say so much about how attentive you are and whether you can deliver the look that client is wanting. If you want the client to choose you, then you need to show them work that is relevant to the project they want photographed, and you need to show them something pretty amazing, and if it's not amazing, then you might be best off getting it out of that portfolio of images. And then what about your website? You know, there are a lot of really bad photographer websites out there. You've probably seen some of them yourself. But if you want those big jobs, then your website needs to communicate the right things about you. And it does that with the fonts and the colors and the layout and the whole thing. There are so many great things that you could include on a website, but most photographers haven't got a clue about what they should be doing, and so they just copy everyone else. You know, they put their photos up, they include their email address and an About Me page, and really nothing much else. And yet they could be doing something much better than that. Mind you, if the website isn't being found in the search results, then it doesn't really matter what's on it anyway. So let me ask you, what difference would it make for you if your website was in the top few spots on page 1 for your area compared to page 3 or 4 or some place where it's never ever found? That makes a huge difference to the number of inbound inquiries you'll receive. And when you get people calling you instead of you having to reach out to them all the time, that's just brilliant. It's such a good feeling to have people call you on the phone or send you an email and say something like, I've seen your website and I'd like you to photograph our hotel. Are you available next month? I loved getting those calls, and that's what you want your website to be doing for you. So don't settle for where your website is right now if it could be improved, but rather get to work on setting it up the right way with great content and a professional design. Finally, you need to connect with the right people. So who are your dream clients and where are they located? How can you get in front of them, find out what they want from their photos, and show them how you can deliver those results? That's where you want to be. And if you're not even trying to reach out to them, or if you're sending the wrong type of material to the wrong prospects, then you're going to keep on spinning your wheels and just get nowhere. So what's the right way to reach out to your dream clients? Well, it's not hard to work out. Really, just think about what it would be like if you were a builder or an interior designer or whatever, and ask yourself, how would you like to be contacted by a photographer that you don't know? I think it comes down to being willing to help them. So when you can help them, when you're someone they welcome hearing from, rather than just being more annoying noise in a really noisy world, then you're going to stand out and they're going to learn to like you and trust you. And I think those two things, when they like you and trust you, that's when they're going to work with you. So approach those dream clients in a way that builds on those two ingredients. Approach them in a way that they'll appreciate, and I think you're going to get more work. So if you're not getting those large photo shoots for hotels and builders and others just yet, it's not because you can't get that work, it's because you haven't yet. So you haven't yet got your pricing right, but you can. You haven't yet positioned your business the right way, but you can. You haven't yet prepared your quote in a way that makes clients want to hire you once they see it, but you can. You haven't yet got the right mix of images in your portfolio, but you can. You haven't yet got a website that appeals to your dream clients and sells you and what you do, but you can. You're not yet being found when clients search for a photographer online, but you can. And you're not yet connecting with the right people, but you will if you get things right. Now, if that sounds a little beyond you and you'd like someone to help, then get in touch with me, Darryl at realestatephotography.com, and I can tell you about a coaching program I do that will help you with everything that we've just been through right there. Okay, bye for now.